Hello, welcome back to Bored and Confused, where I review shows based on two criteria. Was I bored and was I confused? Today's show is Suffs, the suffragist musical that just opened on Broadway. This show is a very timely show. We're entering election season, so I think it's a really important show to have on Broadway right now. Now, was I bored and was I confused? Let's start with confusion, because right from the beginning of the show, the first song that they sing is called Let Mother Vote, and it's written in this kind of period style with a cakewalk, I guess. And I really loved it. It really set up this world. These women are saying, let mother vote. Catchy bop, loved it. Then our lead character, Alice Paul, enters, and she has a little confrontation with the old guard who are fighting for women's votes. And then she launches into this song called When We Finish the Fight, because they've been fighting for a long time for the right to vote. And this song, the next song we hear, is written in a very contemporary style. So I was a little like, we're changing here. And I have no problem with period pieces writing in contemporary musical styles. I just was surprised by it because everything about the show, the costumes, the set pieces, for opening song were all period. And then all of a sudden she's singing in a very contemporary style. And I know they do this in other shows, but like in Hamilton, if you look at the set design and the costume design, it's a little modern, it's a little sexy. And also, Hamilton starts out right from the get. We know that we're doing songs with a rap 90s pop music style. I do have to say though, the songs that were most memorable to me were the songs that were written more in a traditional musical period style. I loved Let Mother Vote. There's a song called If We Were Married, which I loved because it just explained, she says, getting married is basically a death sentence to a woman because she loses all the rights that she had as an individual. All those individual rights now go to her husband. And it just really underlined this idea that these laws about marriage are made by men to control women. And it's a romantic song where it's the kind of the one love, there's two love stories in the show, but this is the one that we actually get to see blossom and grow, and which I was thankful for because our lead character, Alice Paul, is so singularly minded on getting women to vote that we really don't get any of her personal life. They mention that she's dating some guy, but then she sings this song called Is It Worth It? And then she tears up his phone number at the end, and we go, okay, I guess we're not going to get a romance from her. So that is a difficult thing in a musical when your lead character is just focused on one thing and we don't get to see other aspects of their personal life. And that did, at some point in the show starts to become a cyclical thing of we're going to do a march and then Alice is going to wonder if it's worth doing this. And then we do another march and then Alice has a moment where she wonders, is this worth it? And then we do another march. And then eventually we do finally get to the point where women get the right to vote. Woo! And that moment is handled well and is exciting. And they just need one more vote and one person flips their vote. Oh, did I give it away? Anyhow, I liked that moment a lot too. And another song that I think really stands out of the show is called GAB, which stands for Great American. So that was a fun song, but also written in a more traditional style. So the songs that are written more contemporarily follow the verse-chorus form. So, for example, Alice Paul's first big song, her big I Am, I Want song, is written in a contemporary style. And so we get these long verses, and then we get this long chorus, and we don't hear the hook of the song till the very last moment where she says, when we finally finish the fight. And then we don't hear that hook again till like another minute and a half has passed. So I was a little confused when I heard that song. I was like, what's the hook of this song? Also, the writer Shana Taub, she wrote book, music, lyrics, and she also performs in the show. She's amazing. I mean, incredible to create this whole musical, bring it to Broadway. And not only that, to star in it, hats off, m'lady. She's great. She's a very talented writer. One thing I loved about her writing is she really knows how to use the musical form to really push us through, to introduce a bunch of characters in a very short time, or to show the passage of time. This is something that musical theater is really good at, because when we enter a song, we enter this kind of other worldly space where time isn't so literal like it is in a usual play. So she's very effective at using music to really push us through time, push us through the story, push us through these moments. Some of the confusions I had, she would bring up an issue that was a problem for the suffragists movement. And then I didn't really see the resolution of it. For example, right at the beginning, they're planning their first march, but then the Southern Women's Coalition, who's providing funds for them, says that if colored women are allowed to march, that they will pull their funding. So they've got this issue of what are we going to do about the women of color? And then this woman comes in. She was fantastic. Ida B. Wells, played by Nikki M. James. She's amazing. So Nikki comes in and sings a very powerful song, and we get, oh, this is a problem. But then we cut to the march, and well, there's only 20 some odd people on stage, and only 3 or 4 are women of color, and they're all marching together. So I'm like, well, I guess they resolved it, but they never told us how they resolved it. Another confusion I had too was there was often a mention of the women were against war because they don't want their sons to go and be killed. But it's a little confusing because I think most historians would agree that by America joining the war, they were able to end the war a lot faster, which meant that fewer people died, and it also meant that the Allies won the war, which was the correct outcome, because we didn't want Germany controlling everything, right? So the anti-war rhetoric seemed a little deaf to what we now know looking back. And I get that these people were probably anti-war, but it just was a little confusing because I was just thinking, but they're wrong. Wilson made the right choice. Also, Wilson is interesting because the tone of the show seems very serious and based in reality, but President Wilson is played as a complete caricature. And I don't know if she got this idea from Hamilton, where King George is played kind of a caricature. But Wilson is a little different beast because many historians look at Wilson, although he was a racist and a sexist, but he also created a League of Nations and did a lot of great things that really benefited the country. The actor playing this character, Grace McLean, who was fantastic in Bad Cinderella as well. I mean, she's hilarious. She's a great comedian. So I was torn because I loved her performance as Wilson, but at the same time I was like, we're playing Wilson so much as a clown, which I don't think he was. He was more nuanced than that. So I don't know. Comedy is good. And also, I'm coming to this having written a show about Poland where they revere President Wilson because he gave a speech in which he said that Poland should have their independence. So, of course, they loved him for standing up for Poland. But of course, in this show, he doesn't stand up for women, not until very late in the game he finally does. Oh, I don't want to give it away, but women do get the right to vote. Yeah, so I was on the fence about that. What do you think? Comment below. Anyhow, to wrap this all up, this show is very important for its timely manner. I found it, for the most part, despite a little bit of confusion, a little bit of boredom, I was thoroughly entertained by the show. The casting is fantastic. It was educational. The audience was really enjoying it. Very female audience. Let's see if we get some men to go this as well. But I think this show is very important. It reminds us that we shouldn't take the right to vote for granted. Women getting the right to vote was a very hard-fought fight. So don't disenfranchise yourself. Get out and vote, make your voice heard. And this is such an important message for people, especially young women. So I want the show to run at least till the election, if not longer, so that people will be reminded the importance of their vote and get out and vote. And get out and see Suffs on Broadway. It's a delightful show. And I recommend it.